Hey guys, it's Breaking Bryant back with another Stranger Things review. This is going to be going over the second half of season 5, episodes 5 to 7. Guys, honestly, I really like this second half. It was great. Not as good as the first half in some areas. They had some more cons, some issues with writing, and some problems. But I don't hate it. I don't know why some people are hating on it because honestly, it was just great. So the episode starts out with the aftermath of last episode, episode 4, where Will, where Vecna destroyed the Mac base and Will saved all his friends from the Demogorgons by using his powers, his newfound telekinesis, and Mike is praising him, and Joyce is very shocked, and Will just says that Vecna got the kids, and not just Derek and the two that were with them here, like he got all of them. He has his vessels now. And then meanwhile, we see Derek. He wakes up in Vecna's mind with the other kids, and they're being led by Henry Vecna to his old home in his mind. And Vecna is just Henry is just lying to the kids, saying that he saved them from the monsters that kidnapped them, and he's going to help them. He needs them to save the world, and he's gonna save them from the monsters, the darkness, and then they're gonna save their. He's gonna help them save their parents and family. So, and we know that Holly obviously knows the truth. He's lying, and Derek kind of Derek does too as well. And he notices that Holly is, kind of scared. She looks different than the other kids. So then we get the title card, Shock Jock. And then afterwards, we get back in the Upside Down lab. We have the military and Dr. K coming in to where Callie is, number 8. Elle's sister, and for some reason she's still here. I'm like, wait a minute, Hopper and Elle, they rescued her, right? Like that doesn't make sense. But I knew it was a hallucination or something, and all that stuff. And even Dr. K kind of suspected it because the vision went away, and it turns out Callie was projecting. She was actually in the mind of the soldiers that broke in that lab miles away, and unfortunately, they know that she's gone now, and they're just trying to drive away. They're trying to get back to Hawkins, the real Hawkins. So meanwhile, we have Will, Joyce, and Mike who managed to find Lucas underground, and Lucas tells them how the kids were taken, and Lucas has been hurt, but they put a bandage over him, and it's just crazy. Lucas actually is going to find out that Will was the one that killed the Demogorgon. So meanwhile, we have Hopper who arrives at the area he told Jonathan, Nancy, Steve, and Dustin to wait by the church. Unfortunately, they're not there anymore, and Elle kind of calls out Hopper for trying to sacrifice himself earlier with the bomb by keeping secrets from her, from not trusting her, all that stuff. And meanwhile, speak of them, we have Nancy, Jonathan, Steve, and Dustin who arrive in Hawkins' lab. They believe that to destroy the wall, they need to find, remember that Dustin made the map, and they believe that Hawkins' lab is the key to stopping Vecna again. They're going to try to look for something to stop him. And, Dustin even kind of says how he even says how, like, in the Death Star and Star Wars, to destroy the second Death Star, they had to destroy the shield generator. So this is their plan. This is Dustin's plan. They're gonna look in the basement, and Jonathan and Nancy are gonna look upstairs, on the roof and stuff. They're gonna split up and just look around and find the shield generator, destroy it, destroy the wall, find Holly, all that stuff. So meanwhile, back in Vecna's mind, we have a whole bunch of sweets here that the kids have. The kids are just having fun playing, eating sweets, enjoying everything in Henry's house. It's like super perfect, even though none of this is real, and all that stuff. And even, Holly's friend is trying on a dress, and, obviously Holly is not buying the Kool-Aid anymore, and she lies saying she doesn't feel well and goes off. And she sneaks out of the house, and she talks to Max about how she just can't play nice anymore. She needs to get out of there because she knows who Henry really is. And then even Derek shows up. He was actually spying on them, and he mentions how he is also delightful Derek now, and he doesn't believe Vecna, or he mentions how he came across Mike, and he wants to help them. And Holly says that he needs to be the bad Derek again for their plan. So meanwhile, back in the Squawk, in the radio station, we have Joyce, who, this part was kind of funny how she mentions, instead of it being an elaborate, amazing plan, Joyce is just kind of like, all right, how about we connect Will to the Hive, and he kills Vecna, you know. So what do you guys think of the plan? It's like it's so vague, it's so like not detailed. It's just absolutely funny. And she even says that like, hey, let's put our heads together, all that stuff, and figure out a plan. And you know, even Murray and Robin were like, yeah, it's great. It's like super vague, and that part was funny. And the characters decide to eat something, and as Lucas is warming up popcorn, he gets an idea, and Erica, while drinking some juice, sees. She notices the newspaper for Mr. Clark, their teacher, and she gets an idea. So then eventually, Lucas and Erica show up. They both have a plan. Lucas says that they should resurrect a Demogorgon by heating up its body with to release the dark particles out of its body, and then that way they'll have access to the hive. And meanwhile, Erica says that they should get Mr. Clark to build him a new tracker the way Dustin made. You know what I mean? And Joyce says that they should try both plans because it's very likely that one of them would work, or at least they're hopeful. Meanwhile, we have in the Upside Down, Jonathan is talking to Nancy, and he mentions how he just feels like their relationship is failing with everything going on, and he just wants them to be honest with each other, and it doesn't really work out. And Nancy and him come across a whole bunch of white goo in Hawkins that's melting, and so they're going to investigate it. Meanwhile, we have a flashback of when Callie was taken back in Chicago, right? I believe it was Chicago, or it's in New York. I'm pretty certain it was Chicago. So, meanwhile, in that flashback, we get to see her friends that were killed, and she was arrested by the military. And I'll admit, this scene was kind of dark and sad when she was crying when they shaved her head. Made her like some kind of lab rat. I'll admit that was pretty dark. So meanwhile, back in Vecna's mind, we have Derek, who is telling the other kids that he doesn't care about what Henry thinks. He's gonna go. He's being bad Derek again. He's like, I'm gonna do what I want. I'm gonna go in the woods, and you can't tell me what to do. So meanwhile, back in the radio station, Robin is talking to Will about she thanks him for saving her life, and mentions how when I came out, like, just I was confident with myself. I had to tell Steve we were on the drugs by the Russians back in season 3, and just you gotta just trust somebody, and it gets easier. You gotta take a chance. And you'll feel better. And so yeah, that pretty much happens. And then meanwhile, back in Vecna's mind, we have Max and Holly, who come across a random floating door in the wilderness, and they go through it, and they come across one of Holly's memories of the last Halloween, where she watched a scary movie with her friend, and it turns out that Henry was spying on her through the window. And then meanwhile, we see the first scene where Holly meets Henry Vecna in the library in school, and Henry approaches her, and yeah, it's crazy. So meanwhile, back in the Upside Down, we have Steve, who he was just not doing anything, playing with a Rubik's Cube, and him and Dustin are kind of yelling at each other, and how Steve mentions how he just is so sick of Dustin obsessing over Eddie, who's gone, and mentions how Dustin was late to the crawl because he picked a fight he shouldn't have, and bad things happen. He should have been there, and this wouldn't have happened if he didn't obsess over Eddie. This wouldn't have happened if Eddie didn't die. And he tells Dustin that Eddie wasn't a hero. He got himself killed. And Dustin freaks out on Steve. He yells at him and then attacks him. They get into a massive fight. Tearing up the Upside Down, children's school. Playroom, and Steve leaves, but then Dustin comes across a secret door, and meanwhile, back with Jonathan and Nancy, come across some dead soldiers who looks like they have been melted, drowned in this weird goo and stuff, and they look creepy. It's just it's so nasty. So meanwhile, we get the flashback of when Callie tried to escape. She killed some soldiers, some scientists, and she was going through, and this is pretty dark. She came across innocent women that have been kidnapped, and they have been injected with her blood. They were Dr. K and the scientists were taking Callie's blood to trying to recreate the mutants, the kids with powers, by doing the same thing that they did to Elle's mother when Elle was an unborn baby. So Yeah, it's pretty dark. They even she comes across like a dozen of these pregnant women in other rooms. It's just it's dark. It's yeah. I hope Dr. Kate dies for what she did because this is just the darkest thing, like one of the darkest things in the show ever. And we find out that yeah, like they need Henry's blood, and Henry's blood is in Elle's blood, and that's what Dr. Brenner was doing. That's the whole reason he came up with the children's program. All those children at Elle, her brothers and sisters, they were all part of from Henry's blood because he was the first one. So meanwhile, back in the in Vecna's mind, he comes across Derek and he threatens him. He finds Derek's map that Max gave him and asks where he found it. Derek tells him your mom like as a joke, and Derek threatens to kill his family if he doesn't go back and do what he says. So yeah, Derek is terrified. Meanwhile, in a memory we have uh, in like what do you call this, a merry-go-round. Holly notices that the toy that the playground plate is a different color than it should be, and she breaks it, and it leads to another memory of when her mother when she was taken from by the Demogorgon. So meanwhile, back at the radio station, we have Robin who tells the group that they need to do the science experiment on the roof. And meanwhile, I like this, we have them crucifying this Demogorgon. They're planting metal rebar spikes, into the in its flesh through the ground so that it doesn't break free. Like that's pretty cool. That's smart. They because like yeah, this plan is very dangerous, and Will is ready for it. They fry up the Demogorgon, and Will enters the mind of the hive. Like he goes through the hive, and we have the kids yelling at Derek. Will entered his mind through Vecna's mind, and Derek mentions Max, and then and Will tells the group about that Vecna is hunting Max and Holly, and the characters are surprised at this. Meanwhile, back when Max and Holly, they are looking through the memory of when Holly was taken. Holly is very upset that she was a coward, didn't help her mother, didn't do anything, and then meanwhile they come across the spiral area of Vecna's mind where Max escaped him. You know, Anyways, that's their way out, even though it doesn't look like it. It's very scary. But meanwhile, unfortunately, Vecna shows up, and I like how he calls Max a fox. Like I find that funny because like she has the red hair, and she's very smart and sneaky and cunning and sly. So yeah, but he is choking her to death, and he's about to kill her. And Holly, unfortunately, doesn't do anything. She's too scared. But Will is actually able to enter Vecna's mind and lessen his grip on Max before he kills her. And then I like this. He breaks his leg, and he tells, it was in a pretty chilling scene, Will told Max through Vecna's body and voice to run. Just run. And unfortunately, Vecna Henry regains control of his mind, and he kicks Will out, knocking him out in the real world. And Robin cranks up the voltage on the power lines for the Demogorgon, frying it completely, releasing all the dark particles. But unfortunately, Will is unconscious from the hit that Vecna hit him with. So meanwhile, we have Nancy and Jonathan on the roof. There's a whole bunch of melted white goo everywhere. Yeah, and just melted everything, the roof. And Nancy notices some weird lighting in the ceiling, the lights, and the air is clean. Jonathan even mentions that there's no spore particles, no dust matter, no dark matter magic or anything. So there's something going on with this thing. And Jonathan throws a pipe, and it reveals this weird special like ball of energy. It's like some weird force field, and they think they found the shield generator. And then, so meanwhile, in the secret lab, Dustin finds Dr. Brenner's notes, and then he panics. He runs out, and he is shouting that Jonathan and Nancy, he tries to do the radio thing, but unfortunately it broke when he fought Steve earlier, and he tries to, reattach it with tape, but it's not going through. And he is just yelling at Jonathan and Nancy to not touch whatever they found. It's just not the shield generator. He tells them to stop. Nancy is about to shoot it, and, she loads up a shotgun, getting ready to shoot it, and Dustin even says, like, if you shoot at it, we will die. He says, don't touch it. Holly will die. Everyone will die. Do you copy it? This was an intense scene, I admit. trying to run up as fast as he can, begging them not to. And Jonathan even stops Nancy, just being like, hey, are we really doing this? Like, are you absolutely sure about this? And Nancy's like, no, not really. And then she aims her shotgun, and bam, she shoots it. She shoots the ball of energy, the force field, and it's like, yeah, and the cliffhanger. I mean, what a great cliffhanger. I absolutely loved it. That was fantastic. Just freaking amazing. I'm glad they ended it there. I had to wait the next morning to see the next episode. That was just great. I loved it. So in the next episode, we have the resolution to the cliffhanger where Nancy shot the ball of energy, and it's going crazy. They even did a flash warning. This might cause seizures, kind of thing, reminding me of the Pokemon episode. But yeah, it's going crazy, and Jonathan and Nancy kind of are panicking, and unfortunately, it blows up, and it knocks them out on the roof, and it causes this weird like nuclear flash, kind of thing, just spreading all over the Upside Down. And Hopper and Elle and Callie kind of noticed this too, like something happened, something big happened. So meanwhile, we have Erica who wakes up Mr. Clark at 5 in the morning, and she's just like, "Hey, I need you to build me a telemetry tracker. I need your help." Even Murray backs Erica up, and it's just like, "Hey, listen, you gonna help us and save Dustin or not?" He mentions how Dustin is in trouble. They don't tell him about the Upside Down, but Mr. Clark is going to help them. So meanwhile, we have back in the Upside Down, we have Dustin, who is just distraught. He's freaking out, and Steve arrives at him, and he's just like, "Hey, what happened? What the heck?" And he's just like, "I was wrong." Dustin says, "I was wrong. It's not a shield generator. It's something else. Vecna didn't make it. The military didn't make it. Science." And it's just absolutely crazy. Because apparently it's not a shield generator. It's exotic matter that was holding up the wall, and the wall is not where Vecna is. And he tells this to Steve. Meanwhile, Jonathan and Nancy are knocked out on the roof. They are melting through the floor, I guess. Not sure why it's melting like that, but yeah. Anyways, I thought they were gonna drown or something here. But anyways, Steve asks Dustin, "What's on the other side of the wall now that they hurt the ball of energy? What's going to happen to the wall? What's beyond it?" And this was really cool. Dustin just said death, like, oh boy. And then meanwhile, back with Hopper, Elle, and Callie, the wall that they're next to has a hole in it. It sucks in Steve's car, and it's just like a vacuum of space. It's like a black hole. It just completely sucks anything in. It's pulling just debris, pieces of wood, buildings, gravestones, just a whole bunch of stuff, and they need to run, otherwise they're gonna get sucked in. But yeah, this is one flaw I have. You can see lots of heavy stuff falling around them, like being sucked into the hole, but they're just okay. Like, I mean, I get that. I don't know. For them, it just seems like it's a strong wind, but for everything else, it just seems like way stronger. So yeah, that's a small con I have. But yeah, anyways, Dustin says they were dead wrong about the Upside Down. Completely. They were just dead wrong. It turns out the Upside Down is not a parallel Earth or whatever like that. It's a wormhole through another dimension. You know what I mean? They teased wormholes earlier this season, and Elle is using her powers because to get to the other side of the field, because there is a gate back to the real world for them to use. And yeah, Dustin, and like I mentioned, he says that's a wormhole. Like, it turns out Vecna is in the Abyss dimension, which is on top, and Hawkins is the bottom. And the wormhole is the Upside Down, and everything. And if you go past a wall, that is like the void. There's nothing there. You'll die. And he even says that if the wormhole is gone, then we all die. Everyone dies. It takes all of us, which is so crazy. And we actually get to see the wormhole from the outside. It sucks out Steve's car, and we see it. We see how the wormhole looks, and it's just absolutely crazy. It's well done. It's creepy. It's insane. It's insane. So then we have the title card, Escape from Camelot, and meanwhile we have Holly and Max who run away from Henry in the cave. He doesn't chase after them because he's scared for some reason of the cave, and that happens. And then Henry says that, "Hey, Holly, come back with me, or I'm gonna hurt Max. I'm gonna hurt her. It's gonna be her fault." But Holly doesn't listen, and then so he leaves. So meanwhile, we have the November 6th title card, is the 4-year anniversary of when Will was kidnapped by the Demogorgon, and we have Will, who is still knocked out. from what Vecna did to him, and Joyce is there with him. And then meanwhile, Robin says that it's funny how to say Endgame, it's like Avengers Endgame, but yeah, Robin says that right now Holly, Max, and Vecna are all in Vecna's mind. They're trapped, and they just need a way to return back to their bodies. Something like that. And then meanwhile, we have Will, who is stuck in Vecna's mind, and he tells Vecna that. So Vecna is kind of mad at Will and mentions how, like, hey, I let you in, you were the first, and he mentions how you created the tunnels in season 2 with the tunnels under Hawkins. He says that you created them with your mind, Will, because I was already a part of you, all that stuff. It turns out when Will was sleeping every night after season 1, he was creating the tunnels with his mind, and everything that was kind of his fault, unfortunately, without knowing. Subconsciously, he was doing it. And then we see, Vecna in the abyss, in the weird dimension with teeth and stuff. And he's just doing his own thing. Meanwhile, we have Max and Holly, who are just really bored waiting. Max wants to wait for Elle to save them, but Holly is just like, nope, I don't want to do that. Let's explore. We've got to find something to help us, save us, whatever. And she goes out there. Meanwhile, back in Hawkins, we have Hopper, who reunites with Joyce. They bring in Elle and Callie. And then after that, back in the Upside Down, we have Dustin and Steve trying to find Nancy and Jonathan. They see the energy ball going crazy. And then meanwhile, we have Jonathan and Nancy. Somehow they sank through the roof and fell down this huge room, from 30 feet. They should be dead from the fall. I don't know. Because they were knocked out and they woke up. I don't know. So another small nitpick I have. But yeah, Jonathan is telling Nancy they need to wake up and go. But unfortunately, they are trapped in this room completely, and it's flooding with the goo, which is going to drown them. So meanwhile, we have Elle, who tries to sensory deprive herself so she can focus on finding Will, but it doesn't really work out. And meanwhile, we have Hopper, who puts on some new clothes and gets treated for his injuries. Not sure how he put on a shirt with a hat on. That's kind of weird. But yeah. Anyways, Callie mentions how Elle is just not ready for Henry and stuff. She's not going to be able to beat him. She's weaker. You don't trust her. She doesn't trust you. So that's basically what she says to Hopper. Meanwhile, back at the hospital, we have Robin and Lucas, who are visiting Max, and the receptionist. She calls the security. And as Lucas and Robin are trying to go see Max, unfortunately, Robin's pulled away by her girlfriend Vicky, and she's just like, "Hey, you stood me up on our date, and I know you stole that medicine, and and all that stuff." And she wants an explanation right now. What's going on with her? Meanwhile, we have Lucas visiting Max, and he puts the music on. And then meanwhile, in Vecna's mind, we have Max and Holly, who are trying to explore. And Holly, I like this. They teased this many episodes. Holly notices that she had the cap on, but then she notices that wait a minute, the cap has a special cutout point that matches the view of the cave from a certain angle. So she tries to put the puzzle together. So meanwhile, we have Dustin and Steve, who are trying to find Nancy and Jonathan, but unfortunately the stairs are completely melted through by the goo, so they're kind of trapped. So meanwhile, we have Nancy. She should have this part. Yeah, Nancy should have just used a chair on the table to climb up, but no, she just breaks the chair leg to bash the door, causes more goo to come in, and then she loses her shoe. They go on the table. They're about to drown. It's really bad. So meanwhile, back at the radio station, they're making a tub for Elle, and then Joyce is still by Will, who's not moving. He's still unconscious from what Vecna did, and Hopper has a talk with her about how, as a parent, you're always going to question what you do, what you don't do. You're always going to regret every choice. Trusting your kid, not being too protective. You're always going to not make the right choice in any situation. You gotta just keep doing your best. So meanwhile, Elle is telling Mike how there's no happy ending. She mentions even if they defeat Vecna, the military is still going to come after her because Dr. K is trying to do what Dr. Brenner did. She's trying to make her own program of super soldiers, and they need Elle. They'll never stop looking for her. They will kill anyone, including Mike, his family, whatever, to get to her. It just won't end. She says there's no happy ending. I mean, it's I'm kind of with Mike on this. Like, dude, just kill Dr. K, kill the government. Like, you guys can do this. You guys can do anything. Like, just fight back. Overthrow the government. Whatever you have to do. Just whatever. So meanwhile, we have Holly, who's looking through to find the cave entrance. She goes through a certain angle, and she steps on a random piece of the ground and sinks into the abyss. But Max catches her, and they come across an abandoned tunnel that is a clue. So meanwhile, we have Robin who told Vicky everything about the Upside Down, all that stuff. But unfortunately, Vicky, obviously, it makes sense, realistic. She doesn't believe Robin. She thinks she's crazy. She thinks she's on drugs. Robin tries to convince her, but she hears outside that the military is looking for her. Do they know she's part of the Upside Down gang? I don't know. But she tries to escape the military, but unfortunately she can't. And then meanwhile, we have Nancy and Jonathan who are still calling out to Dustin and Steve to save them, but it's not working. And then Dustin, before Steve goes up a ladder, he begs Steve not to go, saying that he pretends that Steve is Eddie, saying, "I can't lose you again. I don't want to watch you die again." All that stuff, and he breaks down crying to Steve, very sad. Well acted. This was a good scene. I liked it. So meanwhile, Jonathan and Nancy are on the table. They're sinking. They're drowning. They're about to drown, and they just confess everything, like all small things. Like Nancy's just like, "Hey, I hate your favorite band. It's just I don't like it." And Jonathan's like, "I hate these things about you," and just they're just honest with each other. All the small things, big things, and then eventually. Apparently this was the breakup scene between them. I didn't know that. The writers had to confirm it. Kind of a weird way to do the breakup scene. It was well acted, and I did like some of the writing, but yeah, it was a weird way to do it. And Nancy even kind of mentioned that I just need space from you, and how she's not picking Steve, and she mentioned Steve wants to have 6 kids. That's great. He knows what he wants, but I don't. I thought I would have more time. And then Jonathan shows her the ring, and he's just like, "Will you not marry me? Do you accept my non-proposal?" And it's just like, yeah, that kind of happens. It's a sweet scene, but like I said, some of the dialogue's a little weird. Like, "I accept your unproposal." Not super clear on a breakup, but they hug it out. They love each other. Jonathan and Nancy tell each other how much they love each other, and then Nancy throws the ring to the side, but she notices that it's hard. The goo has hardened, and now they get to live. She realizes that they're alive. They're not gonna die right now. So yeah, they survived. They made it, and they hug it out. So meanwhile, we have Elle and the radio. Oh, sorry, not radio group. This is the cabin group. They're in the cabin. But meanwhile, Elle is going to go look for Will, and she actually finds Will in the Upside Down. He has been tortured by Vecna. And meanwhile, back when Max, she and Holly are going through the tunnel, and she's like, "Nothing could hurt us." And they come across a random injured scientist with a briefcase, and they see a memory of Victor. Not Victor, sorry, that's his dad, Henry, who is a Boy Scout in this time. He's trying to help this scientist guy, saying he's not going to hurt him, but the scientist doesn't believe him and tries to kill Henry, and Henry just loses his mind, just takes a rock and bashes his head in for trying to kill him. He actually did pull the gun out and shoot him in the hand, and he kills the scientist, and he looks through the briefcase. Max and Holly have to look away. But yeah, what's in that briefcase? I'm sure we're going to find out later. And then meanwhile, back in Will's mind, or Vecna's mind, Elle saves him, and he tells them that, he tells her that Vecna's going to go kill Max, at the hospital. So meanwhile, back at the hospital, I like how Vicky is defending Robin, just like, "Hey, she's not crazy, she's just on drugs," and Robin turns back at her just to yell, being like, "I'm not on drugs, I told you." Like, that was funny. And then, yeah, we just get these jerk soldiers, like, joking around, the lights go out, and, we even get to see Mrs. Wheeler. That's interesting. We don't see Ted, though. But meanwhile, we have Robin warns them that they need to get out of here now, or they're all going to die. They don't listen to her, and Vicky begins to see the Demodog, and that was just, this was a really cool scene. She screams, the Demodog goes past her and attacks the soldiers because they were the immediate threat, shooting at him, at the dog, and Robin and Vicky just run forward, and this Demodog totally mauls these soldiers to death. Yeah, the more Demodogs, it's crazy. Robin and hugs Vicky. They think they're gonna die, but the Demodogs run past them, and then Robin is just like, "Hey, how do we get out of here?" And Vicky's just like, "The basement, staff parking," and she's the guide here. And then Robin is trying to tell Lucas that to run. She's trying to warn him about the dogs, but Vicky actually puts the call on for every throughout the entire hospital instead of private, so everyone hears this. And Robin tells Lucas to run. The demo dogs are on him, and he has very little time to get out. We see the demo dogs burst through his room, and Max's room, and then we see that he's gone. He is carrying the music and Max. So yeah, good on Lucas. He managed to leave on time, and the elevator unfortunately is not closing on time. The demo dogs are on him, but he kicks one off of him that almost got in. Like I said, another small con here. There is no way a demo dog can be hurt by a kick like that. These things are super strong. It's not realistic. Like, come on. So meanwhile, back in the tunnel, we have Max moving rocks, and in the hospital, we have Mrs. Wheeler who comes across some oxygen tanks. And then back at the and then in the basement of the hospital, we have Robin, Vicky, Lucas arrives with Max, and they're just running from demo dogs. And Lucas is like, "How are they finding us? Gee, maybe it's the music, dude." But yeah, they're getting cornered, surrounded by demo dogs, and they go into the laundry room. They barricade the door. They lock the doors, but unfortunately, they can't access the other doors to get out, and it's just really bad. They have to hide. Lucas tells them to hide, and we have a cool moment where Robin just apologizes to Vicky, and just like they hide. The demo dogs burst in, and Robin even tells Lucas like, "Hey, we gotta turn off the music. They're gonna find us. They're gonna kill us." And Lucas is just like, "No, she's coming back." And it's like, Lucas, she can't come back if she gets eaten alive while in a coma. Like, I don't know, just I don't know. That part was kind of weird. So meanwhile, back with Max and Holly, they make it through the rock pile, and it's time for them to go home. Back in the hospital, the Demodogs they're going very Velociraptor here. They're like Jurassic Park. They're about to catch the group who's hiding. I knew they weren't going to die, and then they hear something in the washing machine. They go to look at it and see it's an oxygen tank that's set on and the washing machine is set on high. Not sure how the oxygen tank fitted in the bin, because like, isn't the oxygen tank too big? Like, it seemed bigger than, I don't know, it seemed like it shrunk or something. I don't know. What do you guys think? But it explodes, it kills the Demodogs, and the group looks on, and they see that it was Mrs. Wheeler that did it. She's the one who blew up the Demodog. So that was cool. So meanwhile, back with Holly and Max, they're looking through the area, the spire, and they see that Lucas is still playing the music, holding Max. And Max says that, "I have to go. You're gonna be stuck here, unfortunately. Like, you're not gonna be stuck here, but you got to find your own way back to your body. You got to find your own thing." And Holly's like, "I don't have a boyfriend. I'm not brave like you. I don't have Kate Bush. I don't have any of this." Like, and Max tells Holly that you have Holly the heroic. Just be your true self. Remember something that gives you hope. And Holly mentions how, "I was a coward when my mom was almost killed. I was a coward when you were almost killed." And Max is like, "You are Holly the heroic." She tells Holly she's brave because she keeps going, and she does brave things sometimes. Not every brave thing, but yeah. And then Holly sees a portal to her body in the Upside Down, or assuming, and they hug it out, and yeah, the girls are about to go. Max is running. We get another running up that hill moments, just like in the last season. The girls are running to their bodies to be free of Vecna's mind. And they Max is running, and then boom, they cut it right here. And then we get the cliffhanger. So yeah, I admit that was cool. A lot of people did not want. I think it was a great cliffhanger because it's similar but different to the last time Max was in Vecna's mind. So yeah, that was really cool. All right, so after the episode, we then get episode 7, The Bridge, and we have Lucas who's shouting at Max to listen to him, hear him. And I admit, this is a very sweet scene. Max is very weak, realistic. Everyone is happy to see she's awake. Lucas is so overjoyed that she's back. Even Hopper arrives, and he's just glad that Max is alive. And even Robin's like, "Yeah, your mom," when she sees Mike, she's like, "Your mom killed the demo dogs." And even Mike's impressed. So meanwhile, in the Upside Down, we have Holly who wakes up in the goo, and she breaks free. Unfortunately, Vecna notices that she escaped, and Holly is running away from him. And yeah, we get to see that, where she was in this weird hand cloth structure, and she's in some place that does not look like the Upside Down, which is crazy. So meanwhile, we have Nancy and Jonathan back, and they get freed by Dustin and them. And so yeah, they tell him what happened. The thing that Nancy shot was not the shield generator; it was exotic matter, which nearly destroyed the Upside Down, which nearly destroyed everyone. So meanwhile, Holly is running out. She's running away from Vecna, from Henry, and she comes across a bridge, And I'll admit, I also thought that she was gonna go home if she goes through the portal. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, she's actually in the upside down, and she falls like from the sky because the area she was on this was in the sky. And we have the characters looking through the journal, and they hear Holly. She is falling. They cut it right there. And another problem I have, like I said, there's no way they should have been able to hear Holly from that high as she's falling to her death. And then the bridge. So meanwhile, back in the real world in Hawkins, we have Mr. Clark and Murphy and Erica, and they are doing the balloon experiment, and they are decide to cut the wires. They're trying to triangulate Dustin's position, and it's working. Meanwhile, we have Murray, not Murphy. Sorry. But yeah, anyways, Will is just very distraught. He thinks he's weak, and he tells his mom that he was the one who made the tunnels back in season 2. It's his fault, and she comforts him. And then meanwhile, we have soldiers arriving at the hospital. We have Vicky, who's helping out. And they're informing Mrs. Wheeler what happened, how Holly is trapped in another dimension. And then it gets interrupted because Vicky's like, hey, we gotta go. And Mike and Vicky are telling Karen, Mrs. Wheeler, that hey, we're gonna find Holly, but you need to relax. You're too injured to help. And Mike convinces his mom to just relax. We'll find Holly, we promise. And then so meanwhile, we have Erica and them. They reunite with Robin and them. And I like how Mr. Clark doesn't understand the upside down either, all that stuff. I like how they're informing the adults. But yeah, even Mike is just like, you didn't tell him? And Erica's like, I was gonna get to that, kind of thing, like her face. So meanwhile, we have Max, who shows up as well with the gang, and they see that she's awake. They're very happy. And then Murray comes across Dustin. He's holding the walkie-talkie upside down, and he found out his position. And Dustin even says that we found Holly, but they get cut off from the bat signal. And then I love how Mr. Clark is just like, wait, Dustin's under the metal plates? It's just like, because they keep saying that Dustin's he's down, but he doesn't know about the upside down. And then meanwhile, we have Hopper, who looks in their security cameras. And I love how Mr. Clark was gonna affect the cameras, change but Elle just uses her telekinesis and just breaks them, and Mr. Clark is just so shocked. That part was just really funny, I admit. And then she uses her powers to open a metal plate into the upside down, shocking him even further. And then meanwhile, we have Vicky. She's in the upside down with Robin, and she brings up a good point, like, hey, should we breed this stuff? And Robin's just like, yeah, I don't know, it might be poison. The spores might be poisonous. So meanwhile, we have Lucas talking to Max outside as they wait for everyone. And then Mike, I admit, this scene was cool. I thought Holly could have been dead. So the look on Nancy's face of horror and sadness as Mike is just like, like, Holly, like, Dustin said he found Holly. Dustin says he found Holly, so where's Holly? And then we see that Holly, like I said, there's no way they should have been able to hear him, but we see from Nancy's perspective what happened. And poor Holly, she's falling to her death, thousands of feet in the air. And then all of a sudden she stops. I thought maybe she fell in the energy ball or something, but Holly is begging for Nancy to help her, and all of a sudden she's pulled into the sky by Vecna, and there's nothing they can do because Vecna brings her back into the dimension, and puts her in the goo. You know what I mean? And it's just, it was all for nothing. And then meanwhile, small other nitpick, we in the Mac we have the soldiers telling Dr. K what happened, how Vecna killed their men, and I'm just like, no, these soldiers should all be dead, just, I don't know. So meanwhile, we have the lieutenant, who calls out Dr. K on keeping them in the dark, about obsessing over finding the girl. He implies she's a puppet, working for somebody, for lying to them, for keeping secrets. And then she slams him against the wall and just like, yeah, this is all your fault. Don't you ever disrespect me again. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't buy for a second that this scrawny, weak old lady could shove a soldier like this against a wall. Like, another flaw I have, like, she's not intimidating, not in the slightest. And even the soldier is getting sick of her crap. Like, yeah, I don't blame him. Like, so meanwhile, we have Will, who hugs Max, and the characters are explaining what happened. They all regroup, they all reunite, they need to make a plan. So yeah, Dustin tells everyone about how this is a wormhole, how the Upside Down's a wormhole. It's the bridge, it's the tunnel tube, and the dimensions where Holly is the abyss. That is the real dimension. That is where Vecna is, and their world is the other dimension on the bottom. So I like it how Mr. Clark's in this, and it's just and it's really funny. So yeah, that's where he wasn't banished in the Upside Down by El. He was banished into the other dimension where he got influenced by the Mind Flayer, and they find out Vecna's plan. He wants to bridge. He wants to remove the bridge and combine the Abyss and Earth into one world. And even Hopper is just like, I hate all of this, the D&D, the supernatural space stuff, but yeah. So meanwhile, we have Henry who brings Holly in, and he tells, Holly's friend that she's gonna be, he hopes she's gonna be okay, and they all affirm that, like, hey, we're gonna help her, we're gonna help you. So yeah. Meanwhile, we have the soldiers who show up at the, at the slab where the characters went through the Upside Down. They're already gone at this point, but yeah, they're taking forever, and he thinks it was El. So meanwhile, Hopper comes up with a plan of using a chopper in the Upside Down to fly into the abyss, get the kids. But yeah, there's no way they're gonna fit 12 kids in a chopper. So that, yeah, everyone's kind of arguing of how they're gonna get into the abyss with a chopper, how it's impractical, and everyone's arguing. And then Steve comes up with an idea about how we should let Vecna slowly bridge them together, and we'll be in the Upside Down waiting for him. We'll kill him. We'll blow up the Upside Down, and with them, and get out of there before it's destroyed. And that'll kill Vecna, and we'll save the kids. So that was the plan. Everyone agrees to it, and even Dustin says, like, hey, we're gonna pull a Star Wars. We're gonna blow up the Death Star, kind of thing. Get out of there. We're gonna destroy the Upside Down, which will destroy the Abyss. So meanwhile, we have Holly who wakes up, and she tries to tell her friend how that no, Henry is evil, he's bad, and she's yelling at everyone, calling them out, saying that no, he's evil, he's the monster. And even Derek doesn't support Holly because he's too scared to. He's too scared of Vecna killing his family, and says that no, we were wrong. Henry's good, Max is evil. And then Holly, she attacks her friends. She tries to get out of there, tries to run, but unfortunately they catch her, and they nearly kill Holly. They strangle her with her necklace, and they push her down the stairs. And Holly is knocked out for the rest of the episode. So meanwhile, we have Murray. Elle helps reset Murray's truck. So meanwhile, we have Joyce and talking to Hopper, and Hopper even says that, hey, if Callie does anything to Elle, I'll kill her. So meanwhile, we have Will looking at the plan, and Operation Beanstalk, and this is gonna be their biggest plan ever. It's Plan Endgame. The characters are getting the bomb ready. Even the characters are getting ready with costumes and their guns. And although instead of a gun, Dustin actually gives Steve the blade that Eddie used last season before he died, or when he died. I think Steve should have a chainsaw or something. I don't know. I think that'd be better. But yeah, it was a cool scene where Steve apologizes to Dustin, says that, hey, if you die, I die. We're in this together. So yeah, they kind of reaffirm their friendship. Meanwhile, we have Erica, who's spying on the military base, and she is just saying that, like, hey, she's getting the radio signal. She's watching them. Even Mr. Clark does. That was just really funny with Murray cursing out the truck for not working. Like, why you got to do this to me? Like, yeah, I'm like that with my car too. So meanwhile, Callie and Elle are in each other's minds, and Callie even mentions how the only way we can break the cycle, the only way after defeating Vecna, we need to die in order to stop Dr. K from continuing coming after us. It'll save everyone, it'll save more lives. So it's the only way to break the cycle of stopping the corrupt government from trying to make more super soldiers, and Elle considers it. So yeah. Meanwhile, we have Will talking to his mother, and he mentions that he's got to tell her something very important. So meanwhile, we have the whole gang gathered up, and this is Will's coming out moment, because Will tells everyone, I don't like girls, and some people cry and some people smile and nod. And he kind of mentions how I am different, I have problems, but I love you guys, and this is just how I am. I hope you don't hate me. And everyone hugs Will. I do just think the scene went on for a little longer than it needed to, but I still think it was well acted, well done. And Will didn't even say I'm gay. He just said, like, this is just how I am. and everyone hugs him. So it's a really sweet scene. I'll admit, this is Will needed to get that out so his confidence would be at an all time high. So meanwhile, the plan happens. The characters are gonna ram the military with their van, and the soldiers look. Erica is looking, and yeah, that happens. Hopper is shooting down the soldiers. They use the gate key code that Mr. Clark got for them to open the gates, and even Nancy is shooting down soldiers. She's killing a couple dudes too, getting a body count. And yeah, after that, Dr. K tried to stop them, but she saw that they have L, and yeah, they're going into the Upside Down to kill Vecna and blow up the Upside Down. Yeah, they're ready. This is the end game team. So yeah, they're heading into the Upside Down, and then meanwhile, in Vecna's mind, he's lighting up a whole bunch of candles. We have all the kids here, and the 12 kids, the 12 disciples, kind of thing, and they all hold hands. Holly is hurt, and they hold her hands too, and it happens. Vecna it unlocks their minds. He's performing his weird ritual and stuff to for his plan, and then boom, the episode ends. And yeah, that's good. That's it for the episode, guys. So yeah, like I said, this half was very mid compared to Stranger Things, but I still think it was absolutely amazing. I really loved it. So that's gonna be it for my review, guys. Let me know what you guys thought down in the comments below, and I'll see you all next time. Take care. Bye.